Hey, baby. It's really late here. I couldn't sleep at all, so I'm going to record you a little bedtime story. So that way, when you're having a tough time sleeping, you can listen to this. This one is the tale of Peter Rabbit. Once upon a time, were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Floppy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mothers in a sandbank underneath the roots of a very big fir tree. "Now, my dears," said Miss Robin one morning, "you may go into the field or down the lane, but do not go into Mr. Gregory's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Now, run along. Don't get into mischief. I'm going out." Then Mrs. Rabbit took a basket of her umbrella. Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 curtain buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blueberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight after to Mr. Gregory's garden and squeezed under the gate. First, he ate some lettuce, some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. But round the end of cucumber frames, whom should he meet but Mr. Gregor? Mr. Gregor was on his hands and knees planting his young cabbages, but he jumped up and started running after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes amongst the cabbages, and the other shoe amongst the potatoes. After losing them, he ran on all 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have gotten away altogether if he had not unfortunately ran into a gooseberry net. He got caught by the large buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. Peter gave himself up for loss and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to exert himself. Mr. Gregor came up with a sieve, which he intended to pop upon the top of Peter. But Peter wiggled and wiggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind, and rushed into the tool shed. Jumping into a can, he would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had him so much water in it. But Mr. Gregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath the flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each one. And then Peter sneezed. Ka-choo! Mr. Gregor was after him in no time, and tried to put his foot under Peter, who jumped out of the window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. Gregor, and he was very tired of running after Peter, so he went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp from sitting in that can. After a time, he began to wander about, going lippity, lippity, not very fast, and looking around. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans for her family in the wood. Peter asked her for the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth that she could not answer. She only shook her head at him. Peter began to cry. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently, he came to a pond where Mr. Gregor filled his water cans. A white cat was stirring at some goldfish. She sat very still, but now and again the tip of her tail twitched as if it were alive. Peter thought it was best to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes, but presently, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow, then peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. Gregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quickly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go along a straight wall behind him. But Mr. Gregor caught sight of him at the corner. But Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the woods outside the garden. Mr. Gregor hung up his little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got all the way home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit little hole and shut his eyes. His mother was very busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a forest night. I am sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed, made him some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. 1 tablespoonful to be taken at bedtime. But Floppy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. The end. It's a very lucky little bunny. Almost got caught. I hope you're feeling a little more sleepy. I hope you have good dreams. Good night.